Hello everybody, Shinjo here, welcome back to the channel, and since it's getting close to the end of the year, once again, it's time for me to discuss my favorite anime of this year. But we're doing it with a little bit of a twist, because while last year I discussed my top 10 original anime and then top 5 sequels, I decided to put them together and do a top 20 instead. So this video is going to be counting my top anime from number 20 to number 11, and then the next upload is going to be covering the actual top 10. So obviously, I'm sure as you could tell, it was definitely hard to make this list. Even now, I'm not fully confident with what this list is. At the same time, there's going to be an anime that you really love from this year that I am not discussing. But before I begin, there are some honorable mentions that I need to bring up. The first one is Dragon Ball Daima. It started at the end of last year and carried over into this year, so I wasn't necessarily sure about including it, but I wanted to at least bring it up since it did finish in this year. And the same goes for the next honorable mention. Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush ended this year. While I did enjoy it, I do think it would be unfair to count a show like Go Rush that aired for over 100 episodes, facing off against a 12 to 13 episode anime. As well here, we also have Licorice Recall Friends or Thieves of Time. While it did technically air this year, it wasn't a traditional sort of thing since each anime episode was less than 10 minutes. I definitely did enjoy it, and Licorice Recall is becoming one of my favorite properties as a whole, just because of the whole good vibes surrounding it. But at the same time, it did seem a little bit unfair to count it in the top 20, but I wanted to at least bring it up. And while some people may roll their eyes when I include this next one, Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Game The Chronicles started this year. While the Sky Strikers was absolutely terrible, the Branded Albast stuff was cool. And while I don't think it would have made the top 20 regardless, I wanted to at least bring it up because it's the only Yu-Gi-Oh! Property that we have right now that's airing. The last honorable mention that I'm including here, well, never mind, I forgot. Next is Bond. So just like Licorice Recall, Bond was just posted onto YouTube by Gigguk. So while I technically did want to include it, at the same time, it's one episode for Bond up against 12 to 13 episodes of a regular anime. Not to discredit anything with Bond, I just wanted to at least include it because it did happen this year. And now the actual last one, Dusk Beyond the End of the World. I've only seen 2 episodes of it so far. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing so far. And if I'm not mistaken, it's an anime original. So the whole idea of what's going to happen next is a little bit tricky since there's nothing to base it off of. But from what I'm seeing, I'm enjoying it. They could do really well with the ending, or they could totally bomb it. So with all that in mind, let's get to the actual start, with number 20 being Okitsura Fell in Love with an Okinawan Girl. But I just wish I knew what she's saying. For sake of argument, I'm just going to call it Okitsura. So this show, I'm going to be 100% real. There is nothing going on with this show, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. It's really the same similar sort of vibe with any sort of anime that's slice of life. Honestly, in a way, you could probably draw parallels to this and Alya Only Speaks in Russian or whatever that's called, because the whole idea is a misunderstanding, even though in that show the dude understands what she's saying. And while some people could probably argue one is better than the other, I personally like this show. The opening's really catchy, the characters are fun, the whole vibe of it is really, really bright and vibrant. But at the same time, nothing's really happening, but it's just a fun watch. Between all the other big, dramatic, heavy shows going on this year, it's nice to have a show like Okitsura to just relax. And on the same note, number 19 is See You Tomorrow at the Food Court. So I know I'm technically breaking my rules, what I mentioned with the honorable mentions, because This was only 6 episodes long at 20 minutes apiece. So that technically is in the same sort of thing with Card Game The Chronicles, Bond, where it's not typical 12 to 13 episodes, but I just really like this show. It's like Okisura before it, where nothing really happens, but there is quite a small cast in this show. You got the 2 leads, the 1 girl that always comes back, and then just a bunch of random incidentals that don't really do anything. But the show is just fun, and the wild thing about it is, while a show that only has 2 main characters and not really many supporting characters doesn't sound like it would work. But in my opinion, the 2 leads' personalities make up for it. You can clearly tell what they are after watching the show. Plus, I like how Wada is just a screwball, quite honestly, just the wild card, and the fact that things that are brought up in conversations earlier in the show actually lead up to something, not anything big, mind you, because it is just a simple anime, but it's just a fun show. At 6 minutes apiece, I think it's something that everybody should watch. At number 18, we have Touring After the Apocalypse. So, there are very few anime from the fall season that are actually making it into this list. Not necessarily because they're not good, but just because I couldn't find anything that impressive to include here. Obviously, this is one of the exceptions. I do like the concept. It really gives me the same vibe as Girls Last Tour, but a little bit more upbeat. I don't know where this show is going. There's a whole lot of mystery surrounding the main girl, but I don't necessarily know where it's leading because I don't know what the source material is about. But I really enjoy it, and even if it is just like food court where they're just driving around and nothing really comes of it, I wouldn't necessarily mind it. I would like a big payoff at the end, but I'm not going to necessarily be upset if nothing comes from it. But it's a fun show, and honestly, a bit underrated from this season, considering all that we have. At number 17, we have Rock is a Lady's Modesty. So, I like the whole idea from the beginning of the show, where these girls are supposed to present themselves prim and proper, but instead they're playing in a rock band, defying everybody's expectations. The usual sort of thing, not being put into a box. I really like that. But also the characters are fun, and honestly the characters are a lot more wild than I expected they would be. While there are some parts of the show that kind of drag a little bit for me, I did enjoy it overall. But just like Touring After the Apocalypse, I think this is an underrated show from the year. While I may not necessarily remember the show year after year, I'll definitely remember the opening and the songs that they used. And for a music anime, that's all that you can ask for. At number 16, we have Food for the Soul. So, I will be surprised if many people watching this video actually watch this anime, because I haven't seen many people discuss it, and it's upsetting because I really enjoy it. It's honestly like Laid Back Camp without the camping. I know that sounds weird because at that point it is just a cooking anime, which it is, but the first positive that they have is it's not set in a high school. Not gonna say anything too negative about high school anime, but there are a lot of them. But this is in college, so all the girls are older and a little bit mature in some cases. Obviously, it is just still slice of life, so they have to be a little bit silly. But I like the characters. The vibe of it is just fun. And while nothing really big comes from it, just the girls' personalities and how they interact with each other is just really fun. There are some moments that are like huge character development things, but overall it's just fun. Obviously, don't watch this show when you're hungry, but still, really fun show. At number 15, we have The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. So, obviously, it's a situation like, I believe it was the newest JoJo's Bizarre Adventure that was just thrown onto Netflix and not many people watched it. And it's a similar thing with this, because this was put on Netflix and I don't know many people that watched it, which is upsetting because it's a fun show. Although I think it was like Komi Can't Communicate was a similar thing where it was only on Netflix. And if I'm not mistaken, there was problems with the subtitles for some episodes of the show. But overall, it's really fun. It's a high school anime, like I just talked about. But I don't know, to be honest, I could see this being a college sort of anime instead. But honestly, while it is a high school anime, sometimes I just like enjoying stuff like that maybe not many people care about. But at the same time, I think the art and the way it looks definitely saves it for me. Not that it was in danger of not being enjoyed anyway, but I just really enjoy it. And even Subaru's development in the show, while she's not even one of the mains, is really cool to see. My worry is people might not watch it and then it might not get recognition and then might not get other seasons. I don't know if it's been confirmed for a second season yet or not, but I just really enjoy the show. I like how the couple actually gets developed by the end of the show, because most romance anime, they build it on for years and years and years and eventually something comes of it. But this one, they just get right into it at the end of the first season. While it's not technically breaking any ground, it's still a fun watch and a really cute show. At number 14, we have My Hero Academia Vigilantes. So, it's hard to say whether I prefer Vigilantes over the actual My Hero, because My Hero itself has so many other seasons to go off of to reference and watch, but this only has the one. I will say I really enjoyed it. Obviously, it's at number 13 or 14, but at the same time, I think, just from how I feel right now, I think this season was stronger than the first season of My Hero. Obviously, both have their strong points, but this one had a whole ongoing thing with the villain, basically from the very start of the show. But My Hero was just getting into the school, meeting all the students, doing all this stuff. But this had something going on from the very beginning. But outside of comparing it to My Hero Academia, I really like Koichi. I really like how he's selfless and actually gives up trying to become an official hero in order to save Pop Step. I like stuff like that. I really like Knuckle Duster. I'm curious how they're going to handle the second season, which if I believe is right around the corner. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can build off of what they've done so far this year. And it'll be interesting to see if they can get an opening that's more of a bop than the first one, because that's going to be hard to do. But overall, it was a really fun show in my opinion. At number 13, we have Toilet Bound Hanako Season 2. So, if I'm not mistaken, this was technically 20 some episodes, because they had the first core of it earlier on in the year, and then they wrapped the second part of it up in the summer, I think. It was really interesting. More about Hanako and about everything going on with Nene. Obviously, there are still some things that are going over my head and some things they're keeping hidden. But for a show like this, it kind of needs to have a little bit of suspense and a little bit of mystery involved. But I really do like the show, if only for the art style alone, because it just looks really cool. But at the same time, if you watch the first season of this, you're definitely watching this season. So I really don't think I need to convince you to watch the show. At number 12 is Medalist. So I initially thought Medalist was going to be a bit higher for me, but the more that I looked on the stuff that I watched this year that I wanted to include, the more Medalist got pushed back. Because while it is fun, and I like how the main girl, which I forgot to look up her name, how she wanted to just better herself and stuff like that, it's really cool. And the fact that they get me to care about a sport like this that I wouldn't care about otherwise is really impressive. But at the same time, The main girl is really the only reason I'm watching the show. She absolutely steals the show with her expressions and just the way that she acts in general. But unfortunately, among everything else that aired this year, this one couldn't make it into the top 10. At number 11 is Flower and Ashura. So this one aired at the very start of the year, but I didn't watch it until maybe 3 months ago, 4 months ago. I was really late to the party on this, but I just thought it looked really nice, the art looked really adorable, so I gave it a chance. And I really enjoyed it. It makes me feel bad that I couldn't include it in the top 10 first of all, but while it is cool and the characters are really fun and really different in many cases, there are some things holding it back. I do wish that they didn't put so much emphasis on this tournament they're building up and then go to save one of their friends, basically. And they basically ended off the show before the tournament started, which I don't know if a second season has been announced yet. If a second season doesn't get announced, that's going to be very anticlimactic. And that's the biggest problem that I had with it. But if they would have sped through the tournament and did all that, then I wouldn't have liked that either. So I don't know. It's almost like they were hoping to get a second season, but I don't think there's been any word of it yet. Regardless, a really fun show up till that point, but just because of that, I couldn't put it in the top 10. But those are my top 20 to 11 anime of this year. If you want to find out the rest of them, stay tuned till I post that video. If you enjoyed, hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you next time. Momentai.